Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shampoo and Booze. This is episode number 48 at shampooandbooze.com.
It has been several weeks since we posted kind of an update, a podcast here. And, you know, the big story right now is the renovating of our second rental.
Yeah.
And that has been going full on, and one reason why we've been slow to do another podcast. But if you go to the blog, shampooandbooze.com, you can see a whole slew of new photos, kind of updated photos, and you can see all the work that's been done. One problem is, it's kind of all the work that's been done is the stuff that isn't glamorous.
No, you know? Not at all.
Like, it's a lot of the stuff of, you know, rebuilding inside walls and
plumbing
and just doing kind of infrastructure stuff that's totally unglamorous.
Stuff you don't see.
And stuff that some people don't do, but we chose to do.
And, you know, the people who chose not to do it are the people who built this house. So that's why we have to do it.
Yeah, we definitely didn't buy a clunker of a house, but when we started tearing out drywall, we noticed, it's wiring that was kind of tied together without putting, boxes in,
just not well done.
There were several leaks at one point in the house, and instead of actually fixing the wood that was damaged, they just kind of covered it up. So we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
But I would say right now on the at River House, stage 1 is definitely done.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the way that we have talked about it is stage 1 is, building out, adding that extra room onto the house, tearing everything up,
right,
getting it down to the bones.
Yeah.
And then, and that's kind of stage 1. And
yeah.
We're definitely done with that. And we're now moving to stage 2, which is electric, plumbing, HVAC, insulation.
Yeah.
And then stage 3 is it's finished work.
Right. That's the fun stuff, right, to be honest, because you're almost done.
So let's talk about some things. One of the guys helping us build this house, when we started tearing out these walls and we noticed that there was a leak that happened
a long time ago.
And it was in an upstairs back door.
Yes.
There was a leak, and you could see water had been running down the walls into the wood, and some of the wood was even really doty,
yeah,
like soft.
Yeah.
And he said, we can do two things. We can either just, patch this up and it'll be okay, or we can do the 100-year fix.
That's the term he used.
Yeah, and he says that's what we all always have that choice,
right,
to make. In the 100-year fixes, well, let's, strategically tear out the bad stuff and make it good as new.
Right.
And that's what we did.
Right, and it takes longer and it costs more.
Right, so
most people don't want to do that.
Right, so we probably, spent several $1,000s in a good solid week and a half basically fixing someone else's problem. But when all is said and done, we will know when we look at this house and when I sleep at night that house is rock solid.
Yeah, that's why we do it,
Yeah, and and could we spend our money more efficiently? I mean, maybe.
I don't think efficiently is the correct word in this situation. I think the question you should ask is, could we spend our money less? Absolutely. Efficiency is not the question. Yeah. The question is quality.
Right.
Could we spend less money on this house? Yes, we probably didn't have to spend a penny on this house. Right. Or very few pennies.
Yeah, some renovations just make me feel better. It's knowing it's done right. That's important, especially since this is not a short-term kind of an investment. This is a long-term investment. I'm thinking this is something we hold on into our old age, Right,
and the other part about it, too, is, this compared to, a quick flip or whatever or a long-term, rental. You are presenting this as a product that you are renting to people, hopefully very high-end people. So you can't, you know what I mean? So you're presenting this quality product, and you're hoping that they see and feel that feeling. And so a lot of work goes into that.
And something else we've been starting to do is starting to gather its materials to put inside the house. And the way we do this is we start imagining what stuff we need. Doors, couches, kitchen stuff, everything. And we start hitting Craigslist. And so what we have started to do is get doors. And so we actually bought 2 oak doors off of Craigslist.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that more in a bit. I don't know how interesting it is, but it's great. I mean, they were expensive doors. We got them real cheap. Yeah. But when I went to go and pick them up, I got them from a guy who's basically, it's like us.
Right.
He's redone a couple houses. He's in the middle of redoing one now. And it looks like he does the same thing where he like scavenges building its materials. And these 2 doors.
That's probably, he was like, I can't use them.
They were like brand new doors that he just said, I got them real cheap. And they didn't fit where I need them to go, so I'm selling them real cheap. But I started talking to him, and he lives in a city.
Right.
And he was asking me, who I hire and how we're doing the job. And I said, we hire real carpenters, and we pay them, $25 an hour.
Plus,
and he's like, oh, well, what I do is I go to Lowe's.
Right.
I go to the parking lot, and I guess that's where
people are looking for work.
And he just has some guys jump in, and he was just telling me, and he was complaining about how it's such a problem for him because he can't find guys who do a good job. And he was just telling me all these little nightmare stories about guys, drinking on the job, or guys who were working hard but clearly just didn't know how to frame in a window.
So he has to have it redone.
Put a header in.
So you just paid double.
Right.
You paid $25
So, he's like, it's great. I can pay him $10 an hour, and, it's good to go.
It doesn't sound great.
So...
Well, but we've heard other people say that, too. That we know some other people who have flipped houses in, L.A., and they're like, yeah, just get the cheap, whoever will work by the hour and cheap and whatever. And you're like... But there's so many other, because we think about that too, because we're paying a lot of money in labor, every week, paying that paycheck.
Trust me,
a lot of money.
There are people hearing this that hear us say we're paying these guys $25 an hour, and they're probably like,
I wish I could pay that.
The carpenters where I live are $60 an hour.
Or more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think it's just, I think, talking to this guy is kind of like the 100-a-year fix is what choice are you going to make? How big of how long of an investment a window is this? And
exactly.
So it's for us. We like quality, and I think that's also interesting too because we've been getting bids for different kinds of jobs, and we've talked about this in his previous podcasts about getting bids from people who are owner operators. It's Jack and his plumbing business, and maybe he's got a couple guys that he hires to help him, but Jack does the work. Versus, Acme Plumbing Company, where it's they have 10 trucks and there's this nice sign on the side, and the guy comes and does the bid for you, but he doesn't do the work. It's, just some guys that they pay by the hour. And it's different. And we've been getting different experiences with those both. And really, we have much better experience with the owner-operators. The guy who comes and gives us the bid, we have much better experience with him versus companies because, we've been talking to these companies and they'll finally come out. They're very slow to
Most of them
respond.
are slow.
Yeah.
Most of them are slow.
They come out, they give a bid. Sometimes it takes several weeks for them to actually get the bid and have to hassle them. Their quotes are always much higher.
More.
And they give us no confidence that they'll do a good job,
Well, the other thing, too, is we got a quote on some insulation. We got several quotes, actually. And one of the guys, part of it was some insulation at our house. One of the guys straight up was like, no, I won't do the job at your house.
Well,
I'm like...
It's because we have
It's a crawl space.
We have a crawl space under our house, and it's not the easiest to... It's maneuver in, but
sure,
still,
I get
it's
that.
just
but my point is, when someone says, "Oh, we won't do," he literally said, "We won't do that job because it's too hard." I'm like, cool. don't even bother giving me a quote for the other job because I'm not hiring you. Like, but the thing is with those businesses, and we experienced this with this glass company, this window company that was going to help us like replace windows, whatever. They basically were like, we don't want to do this job. We're like, great. Never going to talk to you again. Never going to hire you for anything.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the thing. And so when you have the owner operator where like this plumber, he's a local guy. He only works on the weekends, which I feel like we keep finding plumbers that only work on the weekends.
Because they have full-time jobs.
They have full-time jobs.
And they're doing this on the side.
But he was hardcore. He came over at 7 o'clock at night on a freezing Saturday night to give us a quote.
He did it.
He came at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning, a freezing Sunday morning, did the work.
If I text him, he
texts you back. And those are the people that you're like, I will always hire you.
You know, obviously not all owner-operators are going to be.
Right, sure,
I mean,
of course.
You know, we've all heard and maybe have experienced the bad experiences with just a guy in a truck and some tools. It can also be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But all the owner-operators that we deal with, we hear about them from other people. So that's the thing. We're not really like kind of phone book people where you go and just pick out a name.
You want a recommendation.
Yeah, we try and find places where we get a recommendation where someone's hired them, they've done a good job, and we especially love just people who are local, who are you know, right in the area, so if there's something goes wrong, I know who to go to.
Well, the other thing too is just a quick side note is the other part about it for me is people communicating with you in a timely manner. And I find that there are a lot of people, even people that we've worked several jobs with, like this one plumber that we worked with, he just never got back to us. And we're like, we've done so many jobs with you, and you just never got back to us. So we're not hiring you anymore. Like, that's how it works, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, we got a quote for the electric, and we were going to go. It's with this one guy.
This younger guy.
He was, you know, a younger guy. He kind of like talked our language. He seemed cool. And then when we emailed him, because we had talked about this, we would email some info back and forth just to kind of get the plan going. And he'd be like 7 days.
9 days.
9 days, yeah.
Look, I wanted a price from him. He said, what's the square footage of the house? I gave it to him. 9 days to email back. I was like, not hiring you. I'm hiring someone else.
Yeah. I mean, and
it's just like, really, what do you want?
It's really, this is like, these days, that's true for anyone that does really any kind of work.
Any work.
I mean the kind of
video work,
we do.
eBay. You wait 9 days to get back someone on eBay, they're buying from someone else, you know?
So, again, okay, we're kind of talking about we're renovating this house. Go to the blog, shampooandbooze.com, and you'll see photos. And let's talk about some of the things we've done that you'll see.
Yes.
So we built a little side porch.
Yes.
And it was because I was over there one day, it's with these guys, and we were working, and it was raining. And I'm realizing, you know, when you're at the front door,
it's raining on you.
Porch, and it's just raining right on you. So when you would get out of the car and you walk into the house, you're getting all wet.
You're just standing there,
It's one of those things that because we're on the job, we can come up with these little projects. And it took about 3 days.
Yeah.
They came up, it's with a quick plan.
Yep.
They told me what wood and stuff I needed to get.
Yeah.
I went and got it, and they built it in 3 days
with
a metal roof. And
it's beautiful.
So it's like a little porch. And actually, we're going to put another porch on the other side of the house to kind of match it.
Yeah.
So it's great. So we did that. We also, or not we, they are guys who are great. They put hardwood floors down on the upstairs of the house.
Yeah.
And this was great because we had scavenged a bunch of heartwood pine from North Carolina, and it was sitting, and we always had to walk around it. And finally we were like, let's just install this upstairs now.
Yeah.
It was great.
It looks beautiful.
We kind of talked about this. We rebuilt the bathroom because some of those walls were kind of doty from this past leak, and it's kind of one of those things where once you start kind of taking apart one thing, you're just like, you know what, let's just
do this whole thing.
All of it. And it's great. So now we have a solid bathroom that's actually bigger than before.
Bigger. I would say, let's see, it's 2 feet wide by like how many feet long, got extra square footage in the bathroom. Yeah. It actually makes the bathroom feel so much bigger. I was totally against it. I was like, no, no, there's no reason to do this. And you did it. And I was like, that was a great idea.
We built a second bedroom, which is nice. Actually, one of the guys who was helping us, one of the carpenters, we were kind of stumped about where we were going to do this bedroom, and he was like, let's build it right here downstairs in front of this fireplace and make it big.
Right.
Basically, it's another master bedroom.
It's huge.
So he really solved a big problem.
It's like 200 square feet.
Yep.
I mean, it was actually amazing when he said that, because we're so stuck in like, the second bedroom is going to be over in this corner. And we kept measuring it over and over, and we're like, we can't even fit a bed in here.
Right.
Like, we're going to have bunk beds. Like, it was horrible. And then this guy that we work with was like, just get rid of this space and make it a bedroom. We were like, you're so smart.
Yeah. And for those of us that rent on Airbnb, that's really important.
Yes.
I mean,
bedrooms are important.
I know people do that thing where they're like, sleeps 8, but there's only one bedroom.
Here's a couch.
And it's just like all these pull-out couches. And then that's cool. There's, there are time and place for that kind of. But if it's possible, it's always good to have more actual real bedrooms
where
people
shut a door.
Because then you can charge more,
Bottom line is you can charge more.
Or at least we can feel comfortable charging more because everyone will have luxury,
Right, exactly.
So that was good. We also were able to, and some of this stuff is, I guess, hard to imagine unless you're actually in the house, but upstairs was at one point just a loft. We've turned it into an actual bedroom, and we actually were able to put a door upstairs. So the upstairs is now an enclosed space.
Yeah, so the way it was before was there was like a railing. So it was a loft with a railing. So it was a completely open room and had this like hatch door that was basically permanently open. And we were like, there's no privacy, there's nothing. So we took away the loft, we built the floor out, so it's just a second floor. And then our guys, our carpenters, we were like, we need a door, we need like a door.
Right.
And they did it. It was incredible.
They're
just like, yeah, we'll just build this, and here we go. We're like, wow.
And the most recent thing we did was we actually got the windows and door in from the who was it, Anderson?
Yeah, Anderson.
So it was a month and a half, I think.
It was a month and a half.
And so they finally came. This is a big
custom
investment.
order.
This is like $7,000. It's worth of windows and doors.
It's like one of the highest expenses we've ever had.
Right.
Like, it's serious.
But we kind of splurged on like metal and wood and.
It was. I don't think it's metal, but
sun.
Yeah, sun tinting.
It's aluminum windows on the outside.
No, it's like some kind of like a fiberglass.
Oh, really?
It's not vinyl. Okay. I don't think it's like, because we were like, we want metal and we want it in this color. She's like, that's going to cost you so much money, and we were like, oh, what can we get?
I didn't even know. Anyway,
yeah.
They're nice, and we put them in, and now the house is actually starting to feel like a house. And then we're actually it's New York right now for the holidays.
Vacation.
We're staying at a friend's place and visiting your family. And our guys are actually putting on the hardy board on the outside. So
that makes it really... Windows and hardy board, you're like, oh, it looks like a real house.
And they're starting to send us photos as they're doing it.
Nice.
So we're really getting there. And I have... the lined up for HVAC to start getting done when we get back in a week. We have the electric lined up to get done. We have the insulation ready to get done. So I'm hoping in January
that gets done.
All the trades. And lastly, we also got the plumbing done too. So we had talked about this. We had ripped out all the plumbing. Basically, we ripped it all out to just the pipe that comes out of the back wall.
The one supply pipe.
That comes from the community well.
Because it was done so poorly. We were like, just rip it out.
And we found a good plumber, young guy, him and his buddy came out 2 full days, and they actually like jackhammered holes in the floor so they could relay the pipe in the
toilet pipe
foundation,
basically.
Installed the tub, stubbed everything out. So the plumbing's actually done for the inspector to approve.
It's amazing.
And it's great,
Yeah.
So we really got a lot done. And you know what? We've also spent a lot of money. Like there was one week where we spent basically $15,000.
It was like $17,000.
Yeah, so
because we finished paying off the windows, we paid the plumber, it was just like
paying the carpenters. We had to put some. We had to pay quite a bit of the HVAC ahead of time, so
it was like one big week. It was just like
So we're definitely spending much more than we thought we were going to spend.
Like 3 to 4 times what we originally like a year ago thought.
No. 3 to 4 times. No, it'd be like
3 times.
2-ish, 2.5 times.
I think we originally were like, we're going to spend $30K.
Yeah.
And now we're like...
My number was $40K, and I think we're going to spend $100. So
I'm going to go back and check that podcast.
I think you should.
I will.
So does that stress you out about money? It should. It's money. It's just
no. It's yes, but it's not so much like, oh my god, should we spend it? It's more like, are we crazy? Are we doing this right? Should we just have rented it like the people before us, where it was just a shithole?
Well, that's what I was asking earlier. About like, could we spend our money more efficiently? I mean, and maybe that's not the right word, but I guess for me, my answer is, especially since I'm over there all the time.
Yeah.
Actually
You're
doing
there.
the job, and
Yeah.
I'm seeing the money being spent.
Right.
And for me, it's like we have a certain amount of cash. I mean,
Right.
each of us make our money, and then we choose what to spend it on. And I like spending our money on things like this because some of what we're doing is kind of like arty. I mean,
Right. Sure.
I mean,
sure.
arty again might not be a bad word. I mean, not
Well, it's
be
a
the right
creative
word,
process.
but like we're seeing this house as something we want to be proud of,
Right.
like if you're making a piece of art,
Right.
versus just like a commodity that we're just trying to like get it just clean enough to get it
I
out the
think
door. And that's just who we are.
I think that is the perfect way for me to remember it. Is like, you're right. It's art versus commodity.
Right.
It's a cheap iPhone case versus like a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork that you sell to someone.
Right.
Like, it's the same thing.
Right.
But it's really hard when you're in the middle of it and like your money is just like going out the door so fast, and it's like a lot of money.
And so let's talk about money.
Let's talk about it.
So we
for
saved
real.
up quite a bit of cash over the past 12 months. We bought the house November 2014.
Is that right?
No, sorry.
November 2015.
Right, we bought it November 2015, but didn't actually start for a year to actually renovate the place.
We did a little bit,
Right.
but not on this level.
And that's because where we live, if you want to find these little gems of houses that are really in good locations with views, or that are special, they don't come up very often. So we had to jump on the house when we did, and then we had to save up to
work on it.
So we saved up quite a bit of cash, but actually this past week we were basically almost out of that cash, and we were only halfway through.
And like you said, we saved up enough for our initial like, oh, it's only going to take this much, and then we're like, oh, we're getting fancy over here.
And this is, and this is not an uncommon story. Like,
sure, it happens all the time.
And so our choice was, what do we do? Do we put the project on hold, which we've done? It's before.
Right.
Just put it on hold, save up. It's more cash.
Right.
It's finished off.
Sure.
No, we really want to get this done by the spring, by end of March.
Yeah.
So we can get it
rented
in the high season. So I called up our banker.
Yeah.
I like to say that because we bank through our local bank, so they know us, we know them. We have
a person
reputation.
we work with.
And so they were willing to give us a $20,000 loan.
Right.
And then we started getting into the details of, how this loan was going to happen. And it's like, get appraisal, title search, blah, blah, blah.
All the fees.
It was going to cost us $2,000 to borrow $20,000.
That's 10% of the loan, not including interest.
Right. And that's just
the fee.
That's just to get the loan, and then you have the interest. And, I get it. they got to make money, but it's very onerous. So we basically said no, let's not do that. That's crazy. So then it's interesting. Those of you who know us through Scavenger Life, podcast where we do about eBay. eBay, it uses PayPal, and PayPal has a thing called a working capital.
It's working capital loans,
right? And again, we're not doing an advertisement for them. It's just the reality of what happened.
Right.
And so it was very simple. They could see our reputation of how much we sell on eBay,
right?
How much money we've made over the long time we've been doing eBay, and they gave us a $15,000. They don't even call it a loan.
No, they call it a loan.
Oh, they do.
It's called a loan. Yeah,
a $15,000 loan in 2 minutes.
It literally took me, because I actually went through the process a few months ago, just to check how much we could borrow. And then I went through it again, and it literally said this, it's like processing loan, could take up to 45 seconds. Oh, really?
Right.
That's amazing.
Right. And the interesting thing is, I guess the reason why it's not like a loan, like a bank loan, is that they don't charge you interest. They just charge you a fee.
A flat fee.
And it was $920.
Right, based on how long you'll pay it back. How fast you'll pay it back.
So we picked the fastest. Over 8 months, we'll pay back the entire loan. And the entire amount we have to pay them is about $900.
Right.
So that's great,
There's no appraisal.
Right.
Like when the bank was like, we have to order an appraisal. The appraisal itself was $500.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me with this. You're not giving me $100,000. You're giving me 20.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was very interesting to us, and that PayPal loan will just get paid back over time, and they just pull.
They pull money out of your sales. They just do it automatically
out of our eBay sales. So it's great. And that $15,000 will get us through quite a bit more, and then it's make up the rest with money that.
Cross my fingers. Yeah. Jesus. Well, I mean,
like I always tell is Ryan, I know it seems endless, but all of these tasks are finite.
Yeah.
I mean, it does end because we've renovated houses before, and the job does end.
Yeah.
As long as the main thing is that the work being done is being done right.
Right.
And like it's when I'm over there, so we're working. It's with 3 guys.
Yeah.
And these aren't like young guys. We work with older guys.
Yeah.
Because I think number one, these are the guys that we've worked
known,
with.
Yeah.
And I actually value that they have a lot of experience.
They have a lot of experience.
I mean, the combined knowledge of these 3 guys, like the oldest is 62. There's a guy who's 53. And a guy who's in his late 40s. So the combined experience of these 3 is amazing. So anytime I throw a project at them,
they know.
I mean,
they just do it.
We save so much money because there's no fooling around. They've done everything. It's before.
They know.
10
They
times
know
over.
everything. Yeah.
What's interesting though is that at the same time, and people who are hearing this might know this in that world. I mean. I love them to death, and in many ways I consider them, it's my friends, but their lives are a mess.
Chaotic.
It's really interesting working with people whose lives are really just really chaotic. And I think that's probably true with a lot of people that work in construction.
Yep.
I mean, not a lot, but some.
Well, we hear the stories of over and over again. My mom is just finishing up a renovation on a condo in Florida. So many guys, she's like, this guy just won't call me back. He worked with me for weeks, and then he won't call me back. Like, because their lives are just this chaos.
I mean, like I'll be there, and one of them will just start telling me these stories, like. I mean, they're just like men in crisis. It's like where their car is about to blow up, or
their car did blow up, and they don't have a car.
They got like all this like debt that they ran up on their credit card and didn't pay back, or health problems.
Right.
And I really feel for them, and all I can say is, man, I'm real sorry. Like I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I can pay you, and
But
that's the thing.
The thing that's hard for us is when we see people like these guys are like. I mean, for me, in my perspective, they're like borderline genius. I mean, they can do the measurements in their head and know how much material they need for the next day and how they're going to build this extra room just in their head.
And then, they don't write anything
I'm just
down.
like, what? Right. And it's up to code. It's above code.
Right.
But my thing is, if I had those skills, I'd be renovating houses and flipping them.
Right.
That's what I'd be doing.
And some it's construction.
Some people
guys
do that. Some people
do that. And some guys have like big companies.
Right.
It's just, but then there are the groups of guys, and we all know them in the trades who are. It's like this, like they just, I don't know. But I mean, I'm the younger guy.
Yeah.
Among them, so it's not appropriate. But it's like I want to like help solve their problem. Like, okay, what's the problem? All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Like, stop. Get out of the cycle of
of craziness.
And I'll write them some pretty big checks at the end of the week. And
they're still living paycheck to paycheck. That's the thing that kills me is I'm like, over this amount of time, I'm like, do you know how much I paid you?
I know.
Like,
you
gotta save that money, but they don't save the money.
Yeah.
I know. So we're all whatever.
It's just interesting, and I will be on these jobs. We were talking earlier about us spending a lot and like being stressed out. I'll think, I'm always asking it to myself, like, is there any waste here? And I think on any construction job, there's always a little bit of time where like, oh man, we just wasted 2 hours because I wasn't ready for them with its materials,
or they didn't tell you about the materials,
or they had planned the job one way and then it turned out like they couldn't do it that way, so they had to start over. And I mean, I think any job in any field, that's what happens. But I mean, at the same time, we're being super efficient. I mean,
having you there makes it super efficient.
And, we're not overbuying materials. I'm picking up extra screws.
No, like literally, we have like jars of screws.
Pieces of wood, like any piece of wood that I think can get used someplace else, I put in one place. All the little scraps it's pressure treated wood, I put in a bucket and I take home. And
we burn for firewood.
I use it to start our wood stove.
I mean, like, it's no joke.
So I feel good about us.
Yeah.
Okay, so people right now are either hearing us and are like, wow, that's really interesting, or they're
like, I'm so bored, I'm fast forwarding 10 minutes. They're like
snoozing. But this is what we've been doing since the last podcast. This
is like every minute of the day this is what we're thinking about.
And I think the other interesting thing too is that let's talk about the farmhouse, our
current rental.
The current rental. This is our slow season right now,
right?
Especially coming into January and February, and it's so interesting because this is the time when we need the money the most. I would love it if the farmhouse was pushing out $4,000 a month.
That would help a lot.
But I can't wait to get the river house and the farmhouse both rented at the same time come the spring and summer.
Yeah,
I mean, and have a fire hose of money.
Yep.
Like, I cannot wait for that.
Please, because we need to pay off all this debt.
So that's what its motivation is. Okay, so let's talk about the farmhouse. Our December pleasantly filled up.
Surprisingly.
The first 2 weeks of December, nothing.
Yeah.
This was the first time since last March.
Yeah.
Where we didn't have any bookings
for weekends.
Yeah, we've had a couple of weekends this year where we didn't, but it was very rare. But this was like the longest period of time where we just didn't have anyone come and stay, and then suddenly we got booked at the end of the month.
My thing is, look, December's a weird month because you just had Thanksgiving, so people had all the whatever then. And then you're about to have Christmas and New Year's. So the first week of December, it's just like, people are like, I'm not going away. Like, we're about to be going away again.
Well, the good news is the last half of December was almost completely booked.
Yeah.
And what really saves us is that 2 of those bookings are holidays, Christmas and then it's New Year's
The
Eve.
price goes up.
And Ryan was good this year to make our holidays more expensive, which people are willing to pay. So we're going to make almost $3,000 this month
Thank God.
on fewer bookings because of the higher. It's great.
Yeah, it's
so
good.
January and February, I was looking at how we did a year ago, and January and February looks pretty bleak. I'm hoping that this year
some weekenders
that can change. So we will see. We do have 1 booking in January, but that is it, and no bookings in February.
I think there are going to be some last minute people.
I know.
February, there's a holiday in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a holiday and there's Valentine's Day. So
for those of you who have rentals in its vacation areas, I know that the feeling.
So this is the last, if we do our numbers right now, this is the last numbers of 2016.
So basically, 2016, we judge our success by how many nights out of 365 nights we have booked in 2016. And we have booked 229 nights.
That is 29 nights above our goal, which was 200 nights.
Right. So
that's great. We are above our goal.
Yeah, that feels great.
Next year, we're going to have to split it between 2 houses, I guess. Do double numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll just have numbers for each.
Yeah. Although we will have started our other one late.
I think if you can get above its 50% occupancy,
you're
that's
success.
Good.
Yeah. Your success.
I really envy people that have apartments.
The city apartments
is New York, Boston,
you're booked
or Portland.
solid 365 days a year.
Or we did that interview with the people that had the condo in Florida.
Oh yeah,
and they're like, we're booked 320 nights
all the time.
Good for them, but that's good for us. So just a couple random things. I noticed that Airbnb is trying to turn into not just like a rental, home swap kind of thing, to an actual travel company.
Like an experience, like offering experiences.
Right, instead of just booking a room, that they're actually trying to turn into if you book a room, and then you can also get it's massage and take this tour and rent a car.
It's like concierge service in a way.
And I'll put the link on the blog, but there was an article about it where there talks about how they're expanding. And of course, right now it's just some major urban areas, because I guess you got to make partnerships and check to make sure things are good. But I do wonder how that will trickle down to small areas like where we are.
Will it trickle down?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I've always thought that was cool. Someone could rent our place, and we try and put
what they can do in the area.
Suggest places, but it's in a little binder. But what if that could get attached to the actual?
Well, the reason it's smart for Airbnb is, number one, it's good for people, travelers, because they're like, okay, I have this whole thing set up for me. Number two, Airbnb makes money off those partnerships and fees.
And it'd be interesting for us if we recommended something take this wine tour, and then what if we got a cut of that? That'd be really nice.
I wonder, if you're we recommend these things, does Airbnb get a cut and you get a cut? It would be interesting. Or if your place is part of a package, do you just get your own payment or what?
And then I saw this, and I don't really know the full story on this, so someone else can maybe tell me if this is true or not. But I read an article that I'll link to that Airbnb has stopped their lawsuit against it's Manhattan, who it's Manhattan was suing Airbnb, and they made a law against Airbnb and rentals.
Right.
And then Airbnb sued NYC to get that overturned. And basically they stopped, and I guess they made some kind of agreement. And Airbnb admitted that the city can punish these illegal hotels.
Right.
The thing that everyone is complaining about is
entire buildings.
These these guys that just have 100 apartments that they just turn into rentals, and it's basically just like
It's a hotel.
Yeah, a hotel. And so I guess Airbnb's like, yep, that can go away. And I don't know if Airbnb is going to get rid of those, or if New York is going to start cracking down. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to happen, but that's interesting.
It's very interesting. That's a huge development.
Yeah. All right, we have some phone calls that people have called in with.
You can always call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message, and we would love to hear from you.
Hello, this is Stephen Talbot from Nashville, and I just heard your latest episode about how to deal with the slums of the wintertime or whatever, and you guys mentioned Booking.com. And I just wanted to comment and say that I actually felt the same way. It's very not user-friendly. You do have to process your own credit cards. You don't necessarily have a good dialogue back and forth with the potential guest or with the guest. But at least for me, and I am in an urban market, I will say that we have a lot of 4-day rentals and then 3-day rentals with like one night in between. And it always sucks to have that one night or those 2 nights that you can't really rent. But Booking.com has been absolutely wonderful at filling those nights. And so just in the past year, I just looked it up before I decided to call, just in the past year, in 1 and 2 night rentals, and keep in mind that they do have a 15% commission. So we do add that 15% to the price. And so we're not really losing anything. In fact, just for the trouble of having to deal with Booking.com, we even inflated the price even more. And just in the past year, just in 1 and 2 night bookings, it's generated over $15,000 per property, and we do have 3 properties. But they basically account for about $45,000 in revenue, which without them we wouldn't necessarily have, because we definitely don't get a lot of 1 night requests from HomeAway or VRBO or from Airbnb. So if you guys have a lot of, just little 1 and 2 nights in between stays, they're just sitting there empty, then you might want to consider Booking.com after all, and mark up the price. It certainly has done wonders for us. So hope you find this helpful, and keep doing what you're doing. I listen to your podcast every week, and appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Well, cool. I really appreciate that call. It's actually because of you, because you had called in earlier and you'd emailed us and told us about
Booking.com.
We actually tried the experiment because of your experience. So yeah, I think that's interesting. I think maybe because you're in an urban area that people are looking for hotel rooms, and so your apartment is really close to being like a hotel, so it's more similar than with us, where people are comparing like a hotel room versus renting an entire home with 2 acres. So I think that might be one of the thing that's confusing people, because they're seeing like Quality Inn hotel room for $79, and then like they see our place and maybe they don't understand that it's an actual house.
Yeah, I think honestly Booking.com makes more sense for urban areas.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the other thing is, I guess one thing that confuses me is, so it's cool that you're doing it for like those 1 night,
the orphan
gaps.
nights,
but are you only turning on Booking.com when there's an orphan night, or
do you have it on all the time?
Because if you're just allowing 1 nights and people are booking on Booking.com, that can screw up your whole schedule and start breaking up the schedule.
Like
for
break
people.
up the weekends.
Yeah,
that's a really good question.
What happens if someone comes on Booking.com and says, "All right, the whole a week is open, but I just want Saturday night."
Right.
And then that screws up your whole week. Or are you going through and blocking off all of Booking.com, and when there's an orphan night, like a Tuesday night,
that.
You'll go and you'll unblock it and let people. So that's something I'd like to hear. And then the other thing is, I guess because every reservation to us is precious, we only have 1 place. That's the problem with Booking.com. If people treat it like a hotel, they book, they don't have to pay.
Right.
And then what if they cancel? and then we lose out on that reservation.
Right, you don't have to pay, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, sounds like it works for you. For us, we just felt
it's
like
just a different market.
it doesn't really work for us.
I actually had to call Booking.com and ask them to turn my booking place off
because they wouldn't let
you can't do it yourself. So I called them and basically like what I wanted to say was like, this just doesn't work for me, but I didn't want to like delete my listing. So I was like, I'm doing renovations. I don't know how long they're going to last.
Yeah.
You need to pause my listing.
So glad it works for you. I would love to hear if anyone else that has more like an actual full home or like a country place, if they've ever had good experience with Booking.com.
Hey guys, this is a message for Shampoo and Booze. I just noticed under your house rules, you guys are missing rule number 13. Is that just due to like superstition, or did you just edit the house rules and remove what number 13 was? Just curious. This is Luke Shorty, way up in far northern Maine. Take care and happy holidays.
So this is my theory. I have two theories. Number one, it's a typo. Number two, we copied house rules from another Airbnb where we really liked their house rules. I mean, we modified it ourselves, but I wonder if they didn't have a 13.
I wonder, yeah.
Because of suspicion or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for letting us know that. Yeah, we borrowed or, we copied theirs and then kind of made it our own,
yeah.
But we
like their structure.
Yep.
So I wonder, and I think their place was like a super hippie treehouse. So they might just be like, we're not having rule number 13. And no one's ever pointed that out to us.
Congratulations, in 2 years, you're the first person to say that.
We didn't even notice it. That's funny. Okay, that's it for the podcast. You can check out our blog at shampooandbooze.com for the links we discuss and to join the conversation. You can leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. Again, that phone number is 540-407-8486. We try to post an episode every Monday morning. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or through YouTube, so you always get the latest episode. You can listen to our other podcast where we talk about how we sell stuff that we scavenge to fund these renovations, and that's at scavengerlife.com. Bye!